Hello boys, ladies, and lady boys. This is Synoptic, and this will mark my first 2v2 Napoleon Total War commentary battle. And this is on Lodi. I'm playing as GB, Great Britain. My teammate Blancas is playing as France. Stalingrad on the left side of that map at the top, red diagonal line, is playing as Russia, and his teammate Spike is also playing as Russia on the other side of the river. That big blue line there is the river, and it's interconnected by a couple of bridges. One is being accessed by Blancas right now, and up to that point I didn't even know that existed, so there's a nice little tip for you if you didn't know that already. Alliance 1 can actually access that other side from the get-go. And on the left side of my army is a massive hill, which both players on that side can access. I'm going to take it right now with cav and 1 horse artillery. Now, you're noticing we're playing against Russia, so we have 5 unicorns against us, and this is commonly seen as OP. And by all means, it's pretty devastating. It's a bit more crazy than the howitzer, mainly because of the extra range it has, and a bit more accurate too. And the main thing we're going to do here is give them something to shoot at. That's always a massive point. If you know what they're shooting at, then you can protect that unit. So I've moved into range with a foot guard. I didn't really want it to be my guard unit, but they already started shooting at it. And you always have to assume your opponent will not shoot at anything, so you have to give them something worth shooting at. And so I'm taking cover behind buildings, which is a big aspect of protecting your men against howitzer style weaponry. And that's Blancas' horse artillery, copying it from another unicorn shot. And there's one of mine. This is all happening very quickly. By the time we get in range, we're just getting blown to pieces. And now we're on the hill again with my artillery. I have it stationed on the hill, as I said. I'm trying to kill the general. I'm not going to be successful. And he's going to retaliate. He's going to start sending men up there. He has a far superior cavalry force, and he's also sending up a light infantry, 90 strong, up to take on my hill. Now, as he's moved his army, part of his army, to take on that hill, I have to move my main, because now the front has been weakened. And you can see some nice crater effects on my poor men there. So as Blancas moved all his men to the side, he's forced his defensive opponent to move for him, and he's left a gap in his road. Now, when you're trying to kill artillery, you should always be creative, find your own way to get there. It's if you just stand there and whinge, that's a nice way to lose. So what Blancas did was he found a road which was only protected by militia, and he's just charged it with 2 lances, hero lances. And what's happened is his opponent Spike has 4 unicorns, and 2 of them were together, and then he's also limbered another 2 and just brought them down to the general area as well. So this is an extremely fatal move. The main reason why Spike moved down the other 2 unicorns was to get a better shot, because he saw my foot guards not really getting any losses at all. So these unicorns are getting all hit by the Lancer Cav of Blancas, and you see the reinforcement is quite fast, but it doesn't make a damn difference, to be blunt. You'll find that artillery limbered are hard to kill by bullets, but they'll absolutely fall to pieces if they're even touched by cavalry. So I don't know how much this costs. This is 4 times 1.5k, so that's like 6k, just gone in one go. So that's like a fair bit of ownage right there. So when you're taking on a superior artillery force, they should always be your focus to take them down to even up the odds. And now we're back on my side. I've actually had to go back in time. Both of our turning points in both fights actually happened at the same time. So I'm going to be using a canister shot to take on this superior cavalry force. So I charged the long range unit from the flank, and that brought in the other cavalry into the general area. They're actually trying to get to my horse artillery, which isn't far away. I had all my cavalry all over the place on all the flanks, so I just kept sending them in to keep penning them in. So I'm making this gigantic blob, and I'm going to do my best to get my cav to the sides. You can see the flag of my GB one moving slightly. And I've actually turned on a barrage, and I have my general there, General Picton, with his awesome top hat, and I was using Inspire on this horse artillery, so the shots are very quick. And you can just see, if you watch in full screen and probably HD as well, you'll find that all of them routed from that canister shot. I fired 2 volleys, and bang bang, all gone. And just like that, I have all the maneuverability. All his cav are dead at this point, apart from his gen. And I also decided to take it upon myself to attack at the same time. And with full mobility, I can just keep moving and wrapping around my enemy. You can see the unicorn there. I wasn't able to show that, so the good thing to do is just to snipe it. Disregard any other infantry in the way, because they'll almost always be behind something else. Just forget about them. You'll just have to accept the losses. It only takes one big fat volley from a rifle to take down an artillery piece, so it's worth the loss. And now that I've accessed the flank, this is very different to our Empire Total War. The firing speed's much faster. You'll lose the battle very quickly if you don't move the flank. And you can see the cav that I had in the hill. They're now accessing this area. I'm gonna hit this area as fast as I can because this is my main focal point. I actually have some units on the left which aren't really doing anything. I have my horse artillery limbered and it's being shot at by a grenadier, and he'll actually decide to melee charge it, and I'll just run away with the horse artillery. So just little things like that can occupy your enemy and interrupt their decision making, because all the while I'm distracting his right, I'm also destroying his other side, his left. So that is basically the end of my fight. I'm just going to end it right there. That's all you needed to see. I took down his cavalry with bait. I drew his attention by shooting at his general. He sent a contingent force which weakened up his front. I was able to send them the main in, and I'd killed all his horses with a combination of cavalry charges and canister shot. And now Blanca's turning point was shown previously. I showed that one first because of how funny it was, how good it was. It just all comes down to initiative and willing to take the risk. Because all I was protecting that artillery piece was militia. That is generally what people use to protect artillery. But they're not really good at taking direct charges since they can't square and they don't really burst fire. So Spike is actually getting more and more desperate to take down one flank of Blanca's. He's using mass cavalry charges. And the thing is with squares, in comparison to ETW, you're going to want to get into squares faster because the effect is so much more devastating on cavalry. You'll find that horses will stop it dead in their tracks, and the riders will fall off their horse, and that will count as a death as they run at the square. But that'll only really happen if the square's complete. So until then, you are quite vulnerable. You'll see these cav, you see how they're all stopping? And that's the animation. Half the time they'll actually fall off the horse and die. Even then, your men will in the square will shoot with deadly precision. You see all the morale bars, very, very low. And Blanca's also has his elite units on the flanks. He's not using any of these, the old guard, he's got young guard instead. Our nations are pretty much the most powerful in the game, but we're not using the most powerful builds. They would have to comprise of our howitzers. We have none. We're using mostly weak artillery, horse artillery, and Blanca's has some longer range foot artillery of France, because we are expected to use them to take down the unicorns with round shot, which is quite possible in these games, but that never happened. You can always plan for something, but the way battles go on, you'll always have to adapt and do something else. Nothing really goes to plan, so you have to be ready for anything, generally speaking. This is a Russian militia charge. These guys have an amazing charge bonus, along with almost every Russian unit. Even the light infantry of Russia have very strong melee. That is one big bonus of their army, albeit they have relatively low firing capabilities. So a big advantage in having strong units on your flanks is what we just saw with Spike. His cav charges against our young guard, very, very futile, because most strikes will happen on the flanks. Most people are reluctant to attack the middle because of the massive firing arc. And Blockers is actually going to do a lot of melee here, which is very possible with his young guard units. Another bonus of having stronger men on the flanks, so he'd be more versatile. And so what that's doing is penning his opponent in. So this time there's no escape. You saw a lot of retreating from Spike, and now there's nowhere to run to. He's actually going to retaliate with another infantry charge of his own, except this time Blancas went return the favour, because you can see all the other French units firing away. So that basically wraps it up. So in these battles, I focused more on the turning points. Mine was cav takedown, and Blancas was full artillery takedown with hero cavalry. All of these, you got your cause and effect. If you cause more damage than you lose, then that's always very, very good. So don't be afraid against these things. They can be taken down, just depending on the way you go about it. So I hope that helps. GG to our opponents, and thanks for watching.